Inspiring cleaner stands up for disabled girl. Incredible family secret revealed after 15 years. A hush fell over the town hall as Sarah glanced around at the crowd. People she'd seen every day, but who felt light years away from her world. Her heart raced. She wasn't just a cleaner. She was a mother, and no one would take away her daughter's dignity. Then, she heard it. The local politician's voice rang out with thinly veiled contempt. Disability rights? A waste of taxpayer money. The word stabbed through Sarah like a dagger. In that moment, she saw not just Emily's struggles but every parent's silent fight to protect their children. With her chest tight and hands shaking, she stood up, defying the forest of suits and high-priced haircuts. "You don't know the first thing about it." Her voice surprised even her. Gasps erupted. Sarah had always been that quiet figure at the back of the room, afraid to draw attention. But this was different. Her voice pierced the air, fueled by love, desperation, and rage. "Emily is not a burden, she's my light. You judge from your thrones but know nothing of our lives." An electric silence blanketed the room. Sarah's heart pounded, and tears filled her eyes. The faces of her neighbors softened. People leaned in, slowly. "We need to stand with them," whispered an elderly woman, her voice barely audible. A businessman nodded, clearly moved. Hope blossomed amidst fear. For the first time, Sarah felt the community shift. Folks she'd never spoken to suddenly fought beside her. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. More voices joined hers, gathering momentum. The room buzzed, igniting a fire within. A fundraiser was proposed to aid Emily's therapy costs. Sarah's heart soared, the weight of neglect lifting. She had sparked something powerful, a community coming together, shields raised against indifference. However, just as Sarah began to believe in this newfound unity, she stumbled upon an old box in her father's attic. Dust danced in the sunbeams as she opened it. Inside lay letters, faded and crumpled. They whispered secrets of her family, truths stitched deeper than she'd ever known. Her chest tightened as she read, each letter revealing a history marred by privilege and pain. The shadows of her past loomed larger, and as the pieces fell into place, she felt lost. Questions knotted in her stomach. Could she reconcile her beliefs with the twisted truth of her lineage? The town, now hopeful and supportive, began to share their own stories, battling their prejudice. The fundraiser loomed closer. With every voice that rose with her, Sarah felt the weight of her secret growing heavier. Could she step into the light that her community offered, or would the shadows of her past pull her away? With Emily's future at stake, Sarah wondered if the bonds she forged would be strong enough to withstand the tempest that was coming. The meeting had wrapped up, but the energy still crackled in the air. Sarah stepped out of the town hall into the crisp evening, her breath escaping in soft clouds. She could still hear the murmurs of support, feel the warmth radiating from those who had turned to her side. But as the cool air brushed against her skin, the weight of the box in her attic pressed down on her thoughts. What were those letters hiding? Each word had sown doubt within her heart. She glanced at the sky, stars beginning to twinkle like the eyes of hopeful children. Would she let the truth of her family dictate her future? Or could she break free from its grip? The streetlights flickered on as she walked home, a quiet path lined with familiar homes. Smoke curled up from chimneys, and laughter spilled out into the chilly night. Families gathered around dinner tables, their happiness pulling at Sarah like an invisible thread, reminding her of moments long locked away, moments of joy elusive as shadows. When she reached her front door, she paused. The house was peaceful, but inside, her pulse quickened. She could feel Emily's presence in every corner, a sweet echo of laughter ringing in her ears. The little girl was everything, her light and reason. But would the truth about her ancestry shatter that light? Taking a deep breath, Sarah stepped inside. Emily was curled up on the couch with a book, her fingers tracing the pictures as her imagination danced in vibrant colors. When she looked up, her eyes sparkled with innocence and trust. "Mommy," she called, her smile lighting up the room. "Hey, sweetheart. What are you reading?" Sarah knelt beside her, forgetting the shadows creeping into her mind, even if just for a moment. Emily's smile grew larger, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "It's about a princess who saves the day. She's brave and strong, just like you, Mom." "Just like me?" Sarah chuckled softly, genuinely touched. The words pulled her further into the warmth of the moment. "Yeah. You stood up for that girl today. You're a superhero," Emily exclaimed, her arms flailing in delight. In that moment, the heaviness inside Sarah lightened just a bit. But as she hugged her daughter, the letters haunted her. It was difficult to ignore their implications. Would Emily still look at her like a superhero if she knew the truth? Would she be ashamed? The evening crept on, and soon it was time for Emily to sleep. Sarah tucked her under the warm blankets, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "Always remember, my love, you are as capable as any princess. You can change the world." After Emily drifted off, Sarah's heart felt both full and heavy. She climbed to the attic again, confrontation awaiting her. The box loomed like a mountain of uncertainty. Taking a deep breath, she began to sift through the letters, each one a gateway to a past that threatened to reshape her present. As she pieced together the tangled web of her family's history, each revelation felt like an emotional avalanche crashing over her. One letter caught her eye, its seal intact, begging to be opened. What secrets could it reveal? Would it help her plunge deeper into the storm, or would it lead to her undoing? Just as she grasped it, the floor creaked behind her. She turned to see a shadowy figure standing at the attic entrance, someone who shouldn't be there at all. "Mom?" It was Emily, blinking in the dim light. "What's in that box?" And in that moment, Sarah understood the past wasn't just her own anymore. What would she tell her precious daughter, and could she find the strength to embrace both her truths? Sarah's heart dropped. The last thing she expected was to face her daughter at this moment. The innocence in Emily's question caught her off guard, sending a rush of panic through her veins. She could feel herself slipping, her carefully constructed world starting to unravel like an old sweater. "Sweetheart," Sarah stammered, searching for words that wouldn't break the fragile bubble of safety surrounding them. She glanced back at the letters, their messages swirling through her mind like an angry tempest. "What's in that box?" Emily stepped forward, her small frame silhouetted by the dim attic light. The flicker caught strands of Emily's hair, creating a halo effect around her. "You seem like you're hiding something." The urge to shield Emily from the truth was strong. But how could she lie? How could she keep things from her when all Emily had ever shown her was honesty and trust? It's just some old letters," Sarah finally replied, hoping old letters would suffice. Emily creased her brow, clearly not convinced. "Old letters? Like from the past? Like a treasure?" "In some ways, yes. In other ways, no." The letters felt more like a burden than a treasure. "Maybe," Sarah said softly. "But they're really not that important. Can I see?" Emily's eyes sparkled, innocent and eager. "No, honey, it's okay. It's complicated." That was the understatement of the century. Complicated didn't even begin to describe her family history. It was a chaotic tapestry woven with secrets, fears, and regrets. Just then, a gust of wind rattled the attic window, causing her to jump slightly. "Mom?" Emily's voice dropped a notch, an edge of concern creeping in. "Are you okay?" A lump formed in Sarah's throat. I am. Just a little. She paused, steeling herself to not let her emotions spill out like an uncontrolled tide. I'm a little worried about what these letters mean for our family. Emily frowned, instinctively moving closer. Our family? What could a letter do? Even though the question was simple, the truth remained layered. Sarah felt the emotional weight settle heavily in her chest. It's not about the letter, it's about what it tells us about who we are. Who we are? Emily asked, her head tilting, confusion shadowing her face. The purity of her curiosity cut through Sarah's defenses like a knife. Exactly. The attic seemed to close in around them, the cold air thick with unspoken fears. Sarah looked into Emily's eyes and saw her own reflection, a mirror of vulnerability. Sometimes, knowing who we are can change how we live, how we love. Emily stepped back, processing Sarah's words, her small brows knitted together. But why would that be scary? Because it means accepting things we might not want to. The truth loomed like a specter over them. With a brash turn, Sarah picked up the letter, holding it tightly in her grasp. This was the moment both terrifying and liberating. Mom! Emily's voice was urgent, a beacon of light in the thickening darkness. Can't we just keep the box closed? Isn't it okay if we don't know? Sometimes, I feel like knowing too much can hurt. A tear welled in Sarah's eye as she glanced at the brave heart in front of her. You might be right, my love. And then, the air shifted again. Just as Sarah's resolve started to falter, a sense of purpose sparked within her. I love you, Emily, more than anything. Whatever happens, we will handle it together. Another gust of wind pushed against the attic, and the moment expanded with potential. Curiosity and fear collided in those lines that defined every family, however tangled it might be. Can we open the box together? Emily suggested, her voice a whisper, yet packed with courage. Sarah hesitated, but she felt as if the choice had already been made. Together, yes, we'll face whatever it is. As she loosened her grip on the letter, the possibilities of the truth sat heavy in the air. Would they discover the strength they needed, or would the revelations break them apart? In that breath of silence, doorways waited to be opened, and shadows threatened to spill out. What truth lay at their feet, and how would it shape the story of their family moving forward? Sarah took a deep breath, her fingers trembling slightly as she gently set the letter back down. The box loomed before them, a solid reminder of all that had been hidden. She glanced at Emily, who was now wide-eyed, a mixture of excitement and fear flickering across her face. Are you ready? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Emily nodded, determination tightening her small frame. Together, right? Together, Sarah affirmed, her heart racing as she reached for the box. It felt heavier than it looked, as if years of secrets were stored within. As she lifted the lid, a cloud of musty air escaped, mingling with the chilly attic draft and tangling their breaths with the scent of forgotten memories. Inside, the letters were stacked neatly, their edges yellowed with age. Each envelope bore a name that sent a shiver through Sarah's spine. She recognized them all, yet the names felt foreign. They held stories she hadn't had the courage to face until now. What do we do first? Emily asked, peering over the edge near her. Let us just take one at a time, Sarah suggested, her voice steadying as she picked up the first envelope. The name was familiar. As she opened it, her heart quickened. Inside was a letter written in her mother's loopy script, full of love and longing, revealing shades of life before Sarah knew her. Mom? Emily's voice broke through the fog of her memories. What does it say? Sarah could feel tears stinging her eyes. She talks about her hopes for our family. She mentions a secret she kept, something she never told me. Sarah hesitated. I think she was afraid of hurting us. Emily crawled closer, her tiny fingers brushing against the letter. Don't we want to know? If it's about us? The tears fell, unbidden, and warmed down Sarah's cheeks. Yes, honey, we do. I didn't know how to handle it before. As Sarah sat there, enveloped by the shadows of the attic, she realized that this moment of revelation could shift everything. What if the secret was the key to understanding her family? To embracing who they were fully? Let us read another, Emily suggested brightly. Her resilience sparked a flicker of strength in Sarah's chest. One by one, the letters spilled their secrets. Sarah's mother had written about the dreams she had for Emily, the family trips they'd never taken, and lost connections that might still hold meaning. With every word, layers of unresolved emotions unfolded, threads of sorrow woven through a tapestry of love. Emily's brow furrowed with concentration as she listened. What if it's not just good stuff, Mom? What if it's bad? A placid weight settled between them, a heavy reminder of uncertainties. Sarah paused, considering. Then we deal with it. Together, remember? With every letter, both mother and daughter faced ghosts of the past and the burdens they had carried. But as Emily squeezed her mother's hand tighter, Sarah found solace in the shared courage between them, the promise that whatever the truth was, they wouldn't face it alone. They finally reached the last letter, marked with a bold, untidy scrawl that looked strikingly like her own. This one feels important, Sarah whispered, the weight of anticipation crackling in the air. She could feel her heart pounding as she opened it, half expecting an answer to the many questions swirling in her mind. As she read, disbelief washed over her face. There was a truth embedded inside that would change everything they knew about their family. What is it, Mom? Emily asked, bouncing on her toes, eyes wide with wonder. With her heart racing, Sarah turned to Emily, her voice trembling. Honey, there's something you need to know, something about who we really are. As the realization sank deep within, the attic felt both like a prison and a sanctuary. The shadows seemed to retreat, but a new darkness loomed, one filled with unexpected revelations. What lay ahead for them was unclear, but the promise of truth tantalized them both. Would it bridge the gaps or create further chasms? The answers waited, electric in the silence. Would they emerge stronger, or would the truth expose fractures too deep to mend? The letter trembled in Sarah's hands. The words swirled in her mind like leaves caught in a storm, each one pulling her deeper into confusion. She had braced herself for a revelation, but the message within was like a brick dropped into the stillness of a pond, sending ripples of shock through her heart. What does it say? Emily's voice was eager, yet tinged with a hint of fear. She sensed the change in her mother, felt the tension in the air. With a shaky exhale, Sarah gathered the courage to speak. It says there's more to our family history than I ever knew. Something about you, about me, and about Grandma. Emily's eyes grew wide, sparkling with a mix of fright and curiosity. What do you mean, Mom? It mentions a family secret, the possibility that we're connected to someone we've never talked about. A name that could change everything. Sarah's heart raced as she deliberately dodged the full impact of the words. She didn't want to frighten Emily, not before she knew how to process the information. Can we find out who it is? Emily asked, her voice hopeful, pulling Sarah from her spiraling thoughts. Maybe we'll start by figuring out what Grandma wanted to say. But as Sarah's words left her lips, the reality of the search weighed heavy on her. What if their family history was filled with darkness? What if the truth meant unraveling the very fabric of their lives? Taking a moment, Sarah chose to lean into the vulnerability. You know, honey, sometimes learning the truth can hurt. But it can also help us understand who we are. It's about the good and the bad. I want to know, Mom, Emily declared, slipping closer. If it's about us, we should find out together. We're stronger that way. Sarah felt a swell of pride and admiration. Her daughter's bravery echoed her own wish to face the unknown, to break through the chains of silence that had gripped their family for so long. You're right. We'll do this together, Sarah agreed, her heart filled with warmth. As they began to sift through the letters again, searching for more clues, Emily dug her small hands into the box, her fingertips brushing against another envelope. "Wait! There's one more," she exclaimed, pulling it free. It was addressed in her grandmother's distinctive handwriting. Something about it felt different, charged with an energy that pulled them in. Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself to read aloud. "This one's a letter to me. To Grandma." As she unfolded it, memories of her own childhood surfaced, moments where her grandmother had been both a comforting presence and a shroud of mystery. The attic felt tighter, breaths shallow as nostalgia mixed with the weight of the unknown. With each word, the atmosphere in the attic shifted. The letter spoke of hopes and dreams, of sacrifices and lessons learned, and nestled within, a revelation awaited. As she uncovered the layers of Grandma's thoughts, one line struck hard: "We are not who we appear to be." The impact hit Sarah like a wave, both terrifying and liberating. She glanced at Emily, warmth blooming in her chest despite the chill of uncertainty. Could this letter be hinting at the profound complexities that defined their lineage? Emily's eyes sparkled with fervor. "Mom! What does that mean? Are we special?" "We're all special, in our own ways," Sarah replied gently, squeezing her daughter's hand tightly. "But we might have to define what that means for us. We might discover things that reshape our lives. What if it's something amazing?" Emily questioned, biting her lip in excitement, fingers trembling. Sarah prepared to share the last words of the letter that felt like the key to something significant. The clock above ticked louder, towering over the tense atmosphere. Walking on the edge of revelation, she whispered, "Let us find out what Grandma is trying to tell us." As they braced themselves for the unfolding narrative, a sense of apprehension mingled with hope hovered in the air. The attic, their makeshift sanctuary, held secrets waiting to be acknowledged. Would they be able to emerge unscathed, transformed by the truth that lay ahead? The next chapter of their lives was unfolding, the shadows of their past lingering with equal parts dread and promise. What lay ahead? A flicker of light or an unending darkness? The answer was just a revelation away. As Sarah unfolded the final page of the letter, her heart thudded in anticipation. The silence in the attic felt like a living thing, wrapping around them both, and Emily shifted closer, her small frame buzzing with contained energy. "What else does it say, Mom?" she urged, her voice barely a whisper. "Let us see," Sarah breathed out, trying to steady the wild rhythm of her heart. The words seemed to jump off the paper. "In all our years, we never mentioned the name Olivia. It is a name that carries weight, but it is also a name that contains love and forgiveness. You must seek her out, not just for our family, but for your own path, Olivia." It felt like a spark in Sarah's mind, igniting curiosity. Who was this woman, and why had her grandmother kept her a secret for so long? "Mom, who's Olivia?" Emily pressed, her bright eyes searching Sarah's face for answers. I don't know, sweetie. But we're going to find out. This might be the key to everything." With a sudden surge of determination, Sarah closed her eyes, imagining the connections that might unfold. What if Olivia was a missing piece of their family story? They returned to the box, rifling through letters and photographs, each item stirring up waves of nostalgia. Then, Emily's fingers brushed against something smooth. "Look, Mom. This photo. You think it's connected?" In her daughter's hands was an old picture of a woman with striking blue eyes, framed by dark curls, holding a little girl who bore a resemblance to them both. It struck Sarah like a bolt of lightning, that same warmth flooding back despite the chill of uncertainty. That must be her. Sarah's voice trembled with excitement and fear. "Maybe Olivia can help us understand," Emily said, her words bubbling with eagerness. "Yes," Sarah nodded, feeling the presence of hope pushing through the anxiety. "We need to find out who she is. If Grandma believed it was important, then so do we." Emily's smile was bright, her spirit unbroken. "Let us do it, Mom. We can start looking online. As they gathered their things, a chill crept into the air, and Sarah's thoughts drifted momentarily. What if Olivia was not the answer they hoped for? What if she was a reminder of pain buried deep within the family tree? Shaking off the fear, Sarah focused on Emily, who was already trotting towards her laptop. The lively child added some bright energy as she clicked through searches with a relentless spirit. Look! There's an Olivia Martinez that lives in our town. Could that be her? Maybe, Sarah said, the tension in her chest softening a little. The thought of reaching out filled her with trepidation, but also with a determination to break the chain of silence that bound them. Let us go meet her, Emily suggested boldly. We can knock on the door and see if she knows anything. Okay, but let us be cautious, Sarah replied, a rush of both excitement and nerves coursing through her. They would need to prepare for anything that could unfold, any truth that might be buried beneath the surface. As they prepared to set off on this unexpected journey, Sarah felt the familiar warmth of her daughter's hand in hers. Whatever happens, we'll face it together, she promised. Together they stepped into the unknown, a bond of courage lifting their spirits. The weight of family secrets hung in the air, but the flickers of hope pushed them forward. What other mysteries lay in store as they sought this Olivia? What truths would reshape not only their understanding of the past but also their future? As they headed towards uncharted territory, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to dive into something far bigger than themselves. The drive to Olivia's house felt longer than it should have. Sarah clenched the steering wheel, trying to keep her focus on the road. Emily, full of anticipation, chattered away in the back seat, her words flowing like a stream. Do you think she'll be nice, Mom? What if she has stories about Grandma? I can't wait to hear everything. Her daughter's enthusiasm was infectious, yet Sarah's mind was racing with questions. What would they find? What would Olivia say? Each pulse of doubt was met with a surge of hope. This could change everything or nothing. When they finally turned onto a quiet street lined with modest homes, Sarah's heart raced again. Emily's excitement filled the space, but Sarah felt the weight of the decision looming over them. Stop or go forward? It was nothing less than an emotional plunge into unknown waters. There's the address. Emily exclaimed, pointing at an unassuming beige house with a small garden in the front. The flowers were wilting under the late afternoon sun, but something about the house felt warm, inviting. Sarah parked the car, glancing at Emily through the rearview mirror. Are you ready? Absolutely. Emily bounced in her seat, a spark in her eye that reminded Sarah of her grandmother's defiant spirit. If there was ever a chance to face family secrets, this was it. They stepped out and approached the front door, Emily leading the way. The entire world fell silent as Sarah knocked, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. Moments stretched, along with her nerves. Then, the door creaked open, revealing a woman with the same striking blue eyes Sarah had seen in the photo. She was older, her dark hair peppered with silver, but the resemblance was undeniable. Yes? Can I help you? Olivia's voice was gentle, laced with curiosity. Hi. I'm Sarah, and this is my daughter, Emily. Taking a steadying breath, Sarah continued, we were hoping to speak with you, if you don't mind about. Olivia's expression shifted slightly, mixed with surprise and an underlying recognition. Olivia, do you know anything about a woman named Anna? Sarah asked. The name felt heavy, hovering between them like a ghost trapped in time. Olivia's face fell, her gaze drifting away for a moment. Anna. Yes, I remember her, she replied softly. What do you know about her? Emily piped up, her innocent curiosity breaking the tension like sunlight through clouds. Olivia's demeanor softened as she stepped aside. Why don't you come in? This is a conversation best had over some tea. As they entered, the air was rich with the aroma of herbs. Pictures of families adorned the walls, children, weddings, smiles frozen in time. Each image seemed to whisper stories of joy and sorrow. Please, sit down, Olivia said, her hands trembling slightly as she poured water into a kettle. Anna was an important part of my life. Important how? Sarah pressed, her heart racing. Everything inside her screamed to know more. Olivia fell silent, the weight of the memories settling in the room like dust. It's a complicated story, one that's been buried for too long. Emily leaned forward, her eyes wide, absorbing the gravity of the moment. Sarah felt an urgency push her. We came here to get the truth, Olivia. Whatever it is, we're ready. As the kettle started to whistle, Olivia looked up, her gaze piercing. Are you sure you want to hear it? Sarah's heart raced with fear and hope. They might be on the brink of profound revelations about family, love, and forgiveness. She nodded, driven by a force stronger than uncertainty. In that moment, standing on the threshold of her family's past, Sarah could feel the echoes of joy and pain encircling them, leading them toward an undeniable truth. What would Olivia reveal? Would the truth bring them closer to understanding or drive them apart? With each heartbeat, Sarah knew they were about to uncover a legacy marked by both light and shadow. The kettle rattled as Olivia poured steaming water over the tea bags, the scent of chamomile filling the cozy kitchen. Sarah's eyes flicked to Emily, who sat with rapt attention, her small hands clasped together eagerly. The moment felt monumental, like an unseen weight pressing down, making it hard to breathe. Olivia, Sarah began, her voice steady despite the nerves that knotted in her stomach, can you tell us about Anna? What was she like? Olivia set down the kettle and turned to face them. Her eyes glimmered with a mix of nostalgia and sadness. Anna was vibrant, she started, choosing her words carefully. She had a way of lighting up the room. No matter what was happening, she found joy in the simplest things. Sarah could picture her grandmother in her mind, a woman full of laughter, with a spirit as wild as a summer's breeze. But there was something else hanging in the air, an unspoken truth that Olivia seemed reluctant to unveil. Why did you lose touch? Did something happen? Emily asked, her youthful curiosity punctuating the heavy silence that followed. Olivia hesitated, glancing out the window as if searching for the right words among the overgrown flowers in the garden. Life just got in the way. Choices were made, paths diverged. It was complicated. Sarah felt a pang deep in her chest. The vague sense of loss swept through her. Did she ever talk about us? About her family? Not often, Olivia replied, her voice barely above a whisper. But I know she loved her family deeply. Olivia took a deep breath, drawing Sarah and Emily's full attention back to her. There's something I should show you. It might help with that. Olivia disappeared down a narrow hallway. Sarah exchanged a glance with Emily, whose eyes sparkled with both excitement and confusion. They were on the edge of something monumental, a chance to piece together fragments long buried. When Olivia returned, she cradled a weathered box in her arms. Dust swirled in the sunlight filtering through the window, dancing around them like restless memories. She set the box on the table and carefully opened it, revealing stacks of old letters tied with a faded ribbon. This was Anna's, Olivia said, her fingers trembling slightly as she uncovered the letters, keeping one on top. They were addressed to a friend she never stopped writing to even when things got tough. If you want to understand her, you must read these. Sarah took the letter, the delicate paper feeling fragile beneath her fingertips. What should we look for? She asked, her heart pounding in her ears. Look for her hope. Read about her dreams. She believed in love and family, even in challenging times. And maybe there are stories in here that can connect you to her. Emily leaned forward, her tiny fingers brushing against the letters. Can you read one, Mom? Heart racing, Sarah nodded and began to read aloud, her voice trembling with emotion. The words carried secrets, glimmers of joy, and hints of pain that weaved through Anna's life like a rich tapestry. With each line, the room pulsed with the weight of revelations, her grandmother's hopes echoing through the ages. But as the story unfolded, so too did darker threads woven deep within the truth could change everything. Suddenly, Olivia's phone buzzed, shattering the charged moment. "I'm so sorry," she said, her tone apologetic but distracted. She stepped away, answering the call with an urgency that caught Sarah's attention. As she walked away, Sarah's heart sank at the thought of her grandmother's life being entwined with struggles she was only beginning to understand. What were these struggles? What secrets could the letters hold that would cause Olivia to become so tense? She glanced at Emily, whose eyes mirrored her own confusion. What if Anna wasn't just about dreams? Sarah asked, a frown creasing her forehead. The possibility of untold heartbreak lingered in the air. As Olivia returned, her face pale and strained, Sarah felt the atmosphere shift once again. What news could be so urgent? And how would it affect the truth they were seeking? With shadows of doubt creeping in, Sarah tightened her grip on the letters, ready to uncover what would come next, even if it would tear at her heartstrings. Little did they know, the true legacy they sought could be more challenging than the love they wished to rediscover. Olivia returned to the table, her eyes darting between Sarah and Emily, as if weighing her words with each heartbeat. The phone call lingered in her mind, its urgency prickling at her skin. "It was just an old friend," she said, her voice strained as she tried to mask her turmoil. "Nothing to concern yourselves with right now." Sarah felt a knot in her stomach. She could see the shadows of worry etched into Olivia's features. "Are you sure you're okay?" she asked softly, the concern bubbling up like a rising tide. "I'm fine," Olivia replied too quickly. "Let us focus on the letters." As if sensing the tension, Emily fiddled with the edge of the box, bringing all their eyes back to the fragile stories waiting to be uncovered. With shaky hands, Olivia picked up one of the letters and began to read, her voice cracking slightly as she dove into the past. "Dear Lucy," she began, each word unfolding a world that felt both distant and achingly familiar. "I feel the sunshine on my face today, and it reminds me of the time we danced in the rain." The more Olivia read, the more vibrant Anna's spirit came alive in their small kitchen. Sarah could almost see the little girl with flower crowns and carefree laughter, dancing through her words. But there the thread of melancholy wove its way in, hinting at the struggles beneath the surface. "Sometimes I feel like my heart is pulled in two directions," Olivia continued, her voice thick with emotion. "I love them so much, but the choices I face they aren't easy. Family can be complicated, can't it?" The words stung with an eeriness that traveled down Sarah's spine. They spoke of choices made, of dreams stifled by circumstances. What had Anna been running from? What had she fought for? Emily's eyes widened as she felt the emotional shift in the room. "Did something bad happen?" she asked, her innocent inquiry hanging heavily in the air. Olivia paused, her gaze lingering on the letters as if they held the keys to locked doors. "It's hard to say," she finally murmured. "But sometimes love isn't enough. It can be twisted by life's complexities." Sarah's heart sank at the implication. Was love truly a force that could be undone? She swallowed hard, fighting against the wave of emotion threatening to unravel her. "Why do people have to choose?" Emily chimed in, her tone naive yet cutting. "I don't understand. If you love someone, don't you just stay?" Olivia looked at her, a flicker of regret crossing her features. "Sometimes, sweet girl, staying isn't an option. Choices can hurt the ones we love, and sometimes we choose to protect them from pain even at the cost of ourselves." The room fell silent, a tender heaviness settling between them. It was a truth that echoed through generations, leaving an uncomfortable taste in Sarah's mouth. She reached for another letter, her fingers trembling as she unfolded it. "Maybe we should continue reading," Sarah suggested, desperate to find clarity in Anna's words, even as the shadows deepened around them. "Don't stop now," Emily encouraged, excitement battling with confusion. "There's more to learn about her." Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself as she met Olivia's gaze. This was more than just a family history. It was a lesson in love and sorrow, a journey into the heart of what it meant to be connected. As the silence stretched, Olivia nodded, and Sarah began again. The letter flowed with Anna's hopes entwined with fears, revealing more of the woman behind the legend. Each sentence drew them deeper into the emotional labyrinth, and with each revelation, a new piece of their family story unfolded. They were on the verge of something monumental, a truth that, once revealed, could bridge the sadness of lost years. But just as Sarah reached the end of the letter, a knock at the door shattered the fragile moment. Who could it be? The unease prickled again, hinting that more pieces of this family puzzle were yet to come. Would the arrival be another revelation, or something that could shatter the fragile bond still trying to connect them? The tension hung thick in the air as they waited for the next chapter to unfold. Olivia shot a glance toward the door, her expression shifting from surprise to concern. "I'll get it," she said, her voice steadying as she rose to her feet. Sarah and Emily exchanged glances, a shared flicker of curiosity igniting between them. As Olivia opened the door, a young man stepped into the dim light. His features mirrored Olivia's, creating an uncanny resemblance that sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. "I didn't know if I would find you here," he said, eyes darting to Sarah and Emily. "I need to talk to you." "Daniel," Olivia chastised softly, confusion blending into concern. "This isn't the right time." "Isn't it?" Daniel countered, his voice brimming with urgency. "If there's something we need to discuss, now might be the only chance." Sarah's heart raced, all her previous dread intensified in a moment. "What is going on?" she asked, her chest tightening with uncertainty. She looked at Emily, whose wide eyes reflected a mix of fear and intrigue, the innocent wonder now tinged with the gravity of the situation. "I'm sorry to intrude," Daniel said, stepping further into the room. "I know you're having a family moment, but there is something you need to understand about Anna. About our family." "What do you mean?" Sarah felt a spark of anger mixed with confusion. Who was this man? What could he possibly know that would upend everything they'd just begun to piece together? As Daniel hesitated, Olivia stepped in closer, her voice firm but gentle. "Daniel, let us not do this here." "No," Daniel interrupted, his tone sharp and pleading. "They deserve to know the whole truth." He turned to Emily, who remained beside Sarah, her small hand clutching her mother's tightly. "The truth will only hurt more if it waits any longer." Olivia looked torn, apprehensive as she exchanged glances between Daniel and her guests. "This isn't the way," she muttered, frustration lacing her tone, but Sarah's curiosity was piqued, interlaced with a hunter's determination. "If you have something to say, then say it. I want to know everything." Daniel swallowed hard, appearing almost vulnerable for a moment, and began, "Your grandmother." He paused for a breath. "Anna raised secrets like banners, and they threaded through her life in ways that would change everything you thought you knew." "What secrets?" Emily's question echoed loudly, her voice curious yet strong. Daniel's eyes softened as he gazed at the little girl. "Secrets of love, choices, and family ties that were never meant to be tangled." He squared his shoulders, facing Sarah directly. "Anna had a sister, a sibling who was lost to complications of life and decisions. And she loved that sister deeply, even after tragedy struck." A wave of realization washed over Sarah, colliding with the tension mounting around them. "Lost? What happened?" Daniel searched her eyes, the honesty flooding his words. "After everything that happened with your family, Anna felt compelled to protect you. She kept the truth about her past buried to shield you from the same fate she faced. She was afraid." Tears threatened to spill from Olivia's eyes, her vulnerability crashing into the shield she'd maintained. "All this time, I thought we were helping her by letting those secrets lie. But it seems silence often does more harm than good, especially for you, Sarah." "I want to know," Sarah murmured, almost to herself. The future of knowledge loomed before her, dark yet inviting. Daniel's gaze lingered on Emily, then turned back to Sarah. There's an address in Anna's old letters. A letter she couldn't bring herself to send, but a plea that carries love and unresolved thoughts. You must seek out your family, the one Anna lost touch with. Only then will you find peace, not just for yourself, but for her. Where? Sarah's heart began to thud louder, desperation creeping in. It's in the city, where she last lived with her sister, a place where those memories await, Daniel replied, meeting her eyes. Sarah inhaled sharply, piecing together the new threads of connection. You mean to tell me there's a possibility that there's still family out there? Yes. You're not alone. Anna's sister might still be alive and waiting for the moment she can tell the story of loss and love, like a tether across space and time. A moment you were meant to have, he affirmed. Through the whirlwind of emotions, Emily spoke up, oblivious to the gravity but shining with innocence. Can we go find her, Mom? If she's family, then we need her. Just like we needed Olivia. Sarah's heart swelled with pride, but deeper emotions battled within her. She felt the pull of her family's story, the weight of history that was more than she could bear alone. Yes, sweetheart. We will. We can turn this tide, she said, her voice stronger now. Let us do it together, Olivia added, her voice thick with determination. Together they would venture into the unknown, animated by a clarity blossoming amidst the confusion. As they turned back to Daniel, the pieces of Sarah's family story began to align. She could feel the shadows softening, shifting away under the light of connection and revelation. Let us find Anna's sister, Sarah declared, her voice steady and unwavering. Whatever it takes, we'll bring our family back together. With renewed purpose, they grasped one another, the warmth of courage binding them together. Secrets didn't have to fracture the knots of love. Instead, they would fuel their journey, a journey that could finally heal the lingering wounds of the past. In that moment, Sarah felt a rush of gratitude and hope, knowing they were ready to embrace their new path. They would not hide from the truth any longer. The adventure of discovery awaited, and with their hands linked tightly, the transformation had already begun. Now was the moment they would step into the world, where light and shadow danced together, each waiting to reveal their place in the panorama of family. This was the beginning of something profound. A journey of understanding, forgiveness, and a chance to weave their family story anew. As they stood on the threshold of their next chapter, the world outside opened up full of possibilities. If you felt inspired by this journey, here's your chance to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others discover this tale of transformation. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. I can't wait to hear from all of you, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to be part of this growing family, so don't wait not even one more second to share.